Welcome. I'm Reverend Sue Browning. I am the minister who serves the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Easton, Maryland, and the Unitarian Universalists of the Chester River. We're glad you are with us this morning. We begin our service today with the ringing of the bowl and with the singing of Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Welcome to members, friends, and visitors. It's good to be together again. We're getting used to this virtual worship and finding our path in these times. Earlier this week, I saw a humorous video, at least it was humorous to me, and it was two women. One of them, I would say they were in their late 20s or early 30s, and one of them was a woman living in December 2019, and the other woman was living in April 2020. And the conversation went on. The December woman, she's talking about her upcoming work trips. She's talking about her plans in the near future, her worries. She talked about even the wildfires in Australia, and clearly she was going forward and planning her life. And the April woman, she just sort of was gently chuckling the way they had it set up. She couldn't actually tell her what was going on, but she just kept saying, well, it might not go like that. Might not go like that. And then she did say, you might want to invest in Zoom. And I think the video was a good reminder for me, at least, of just how unexpected the times we have been that we find ourselves in. And now that we are nearing the end of April, just that recognition that we've been for 6 weeks living in sort of this surreal world. We come together today pretty much as a check-in. How are we doing? How is it with our souls after 6 weeks of living in this different way? We invite you to bring all of who you are to the service today, your full identity, all of your experiences, your worries, your concerns, your joys, the places you're bursting at the seams. Bring it all with you today as we come and worship together. Unitarian Universalism is a faith that asks you to do some searching, to find your values, and then to wrap your lives around the values, and then we come together and as a shared community figure out what we want to work on. It's this work of coming together and articulating what it is we really care about that helps us find our place in the world. If you have questions about Unitarian Universalism or questions about either one of our congregations, please reach out and ask. We're excited that we're seeing new folks that are joining us through the virtual services, and we want to make sure you have an avenue to have your questions answered. So as I said, we come together this morning with this question. How is it with your soul? At times I use this question in meetings. I use it as a check-in often. And it's an invitation to go deeper. It's an invitation to ask, how are we doing at the tender spots? Where are we finding our deepest joy, our places of satisfaction? Where are the questions that are emerging for us? How is it with your soul? Let us come. Let us worship together.
Please join me as I light the chalice. We light this chalice as a symbol of light within all creation. We light this chalice for truth. May the love for truth be with us always. We light this chalice for love. May the love for others be strong in our hearts. Our first hymn this morning is For All That Is Our Life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its reward, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Hi, I'm Liz Hausberg, Coordinator of Religious Education for Children and Youth at the UUFE, and I have today's Thoughts for All Ages. Today we're going to talk a little bit about restlessness and having to sit still in front of a computer, possibly, for those that are in school at home, and what should we do about it? Restlessness is that whole idea of sitting still for so long that you just can't focus anymore. I have that same problem. I don't sit all day long at school. I get up and I'm teaching and I'm moving around. Yet now that I'm home teaching from my computer, I sit a lot more. And I am finding that after a while, I can't focus. I can't read any more kids' papers. I cannot just sit still. So what are some things we can do? Well, one thing I do is I go walk the dog, whether the dog wants to go or not. I get up and I move. Sometimes I even go down to the mailbox, which is at the end of my road, when I know the mail is not there. But I can't focus any longer, so I have to get up and move. Now, what if it's raining and you can't get up and move? Well, you can always go play. I know that my dog likes to get pets and belly rubs, even if it was raining. Another thing I also do is play with my cats, because I have both dogs and cats in my house. But sometimes we do have to focus and finish our schoolwork. So what is another option? You know what I heard, and I'm going to try this. You take your computer or you take your laptop, whatever you're looking at, and you raise it up. Maybe put it on a box or put it on some books so that instead of sitting, you can stand and do your work. I have some kids at school that prefer to do that. They sit or stand in the back of the room so that they're not in anyone else's way, yet they can do their work. And I like that idea because sitting over and over and for an hour is a long time. So we need to get up and move. So when you are sitting at your table, wherever your new school space is, and you start looking this way at what the dog's doing, or you start looking this way because you heard something bang or something come on, you know your focus is a little off. You know you're having trouble staying on task. And when I start doing that, remember, we can get up and walk, we can go outside and play, we can even go get mail that is not there, as long as I am just not sitting forever, because that restlessness helps you get way off task and not be able to focus. And I know that your teachers would rather have you focused on work than not, because all this sitting around and staying at home and this social distancing is hard. It's really hard. But the fresh air, staying in your own backyard, or even riding your bike will really help. It really, really does. So I hope you have a good morning and enjoy the rest of the service. Thank you, and I will see you all next week.
I invite us now into a time of reflection, a time of meditation. Spirit of life, spirit of love, spirit of community, be with us now. We come in gratitude for the resources which sustain us, grateful for food and shelter, caregivers and technology. We come with deeper appreciation for the natural beauty around us, for the earth, for the continued signs of new growth and the occasional warm day. We come today with our uncertainties, our questions, our struggles. We come in this time of unknowing. We come with a shared sense of restlessness. These times are different. Our souls are being stretched in new ways. But we come too knowing that others before us have faced uncertainty. They have faced worry. And we lean on the shoulders of our ancestors. The words this morning are from Reverend Teresa Novak. It's a reading that is entitled Saved. Come into this place. There are healing waters here and hands with soothing balm to ease your troubled days. Bring your wounds and your aching hearts, your scars too numb to feel, your questions, your complaints, all are welcome here. Rest a while. Let the warmth of this community surround you, hold you, and heal you. And then when you are stronger, just a bit, notice those who need you too. They are here. They are everywhere. Weep with them, smile with them, work with them, laugh along the way. Pass the cup, drink the holy fire, and take it with you into the world. We are saved, and we save each other again and again, and yet again. Amen. One of the ways that we build community, one of the ways that we strengthen the fabric of who we are, is we share our joys and sorrows with one another every week. We are doing that a little bit different in the virtual world, and I just ask you to email me any joys or sorrows by noon on Friday, and we'll include them in the service. I'm going to go ahead and light the candles. I've had the flame passed to me through Annie all the way through our virtual world, and I will light the candles first, and then I'll read our joys and sorrows. So we light our first candle this morning, as we've done each week, just in recognition of all the pain and suffering that is going on around the pandemic, around COVID-19. We light this candle for those who have died, those who are suffering, those who have recovered. We light this first candle for the first responders, the medical personnel, the many, many service personnel, and all the folks that are keeping us safe. We will keep lighting this candle and hold all in our prayers, all in our care. Our second candle came in from Deborah, and she shares that my aunt fell and had surgery and then has moved from the hospital to the rehab center. I hope she does well and recovers quickly, Deborah shares. We hold your aunt in our prayers, and we hold you as well. We also heard from Anne. Anne checked in, and we hear that Jake, her husband, had bypass surgery on Tuesday. The good news is he's already headed home and is expected to recover quickly. We hear also that Jake's mom is in some of her last days, and we hold their family. His mom, Nancy, who's in a nursing home, we hold her in care. Jake, we hold you in care, and Anne and Robert and Catherine and your whole family. Our thoughts are with you. Let's just take a moment and hold the joys and sorrows we've heard, those that are in your hearts. Let's just take a moment of silence and reflect. For all that is our lives, we are grateful. Amen.
I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go, and help us to be wise in times where we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be safe.
La luce che tu dai
Pray we'll find your light
nel cuore resterà
and hold it in our hearts.
a ricordarci che
Stars guard each night.
l'eterna stella sei
Oh,
è la mia preghiera
let this be our prayer
quando fede c'è.
when shadows fill our day.
Lead us to a place,
Guide us with your grace.
give us space so we'll be safe. Sogniamo un mondo senza più violenza, un mondo di giustizia e di speranza. Ognuno a noi sta vicino, simbolo di pace, di
faith so we'll please serve.
Perhaps some of you, like me, have felt a restlessness in this time of social distancing, a longing to break free, out the door and into the lives of our friends and family. Maybe coffee on a Saturday morning at Evergreen or dinner on one of the docks in Rock Hall. Small pleasures, simple pleasures, and the bigger ones too. Like you, I miss the ups and the downs of daily living, the smooth and even some of the rough edges. I miss it all. This restlessness I mention is of both mind and body, an unease, a wanting, a longing for something more. It's pretty much a new experience for me, and one I might have expected with the limitations and isolation I now face. However, I'm seeing it as more than an invitation, almost an imperative to learn more about myself, to watch these harbingers of unrest as they present in mind and body, understand their message, their connection, and when possible, redirect that energy. With more time and opportunity, I find myself witnessing firsthand that extraordinary two-way communication between the mind and the body, and the effect each one has on the other. I've always known the emotion of fear can get my heart beating faster, but now I'm also noticing how loneliness and sadness can have a similar physical result. Mind and body manifesting each other's pain. I'm grateful to have also found that they reflect each other's well-being. A simple act of fun, play, laughter can recharge my weary mind, and for a time I'm brought once again into balance and peace. Through the years, there has been much written about the body as being much more than a mere physical presence, but rather in service to the mind and spirit. Again, that close connection. St. Paul, he speaks of our bodies as earthen vessels holding the fire of life. St. Francis de Sales calls our bodies our brothers, and Thomas Traherne, a 17th century poet and historian, describes the body as a lantern holding the candle of our mind. He wrote, "Your body was given to you to be a lantern only to the candle of love that shines through your soul. And just as there needs to be a tender to keep that lamp in good condition so that the light may shine, so is the need for our physical body as it holds the light of our mind." Again, mind and body, the yin and the yang, and the need to honor both as they balance and teach. I am learning that profound healing can blossom in this exchange. I'd like to close with a stanza from the poem Summer Sabbath by Kathleen McTeague. She's a UU minister and poet, and she suggests this lovely way of nourishing both our minds and our body. She says, "Go someplace that you've never been before, where no one knows you and you don't even think about what to wear or who might be watching. And let your body ease out into the sun and bask lazy as a cat. Go and don't think about time, how much you might have left, how to pass it, fill it, or spend it. Instead, consider your life, how you love, who you love, and why. How blessed you are to be here. What strange, bright luck it is to be the owner of this beating heart and wandering eye, and ear into which the kingfisher spills her small chuckle as she dips and glides across the still water." May each of us know this peace.
So our sermon today is titled A Restlessness in Our Souls. So I come back to that question I asked at the beginning. How is it with thy soul? How is it with your soul at this time? I think the soul is a hard thing to define. Think maybe of our soul as our emotional wiring. It's the place that we hold our feelings, sort of our storage tank. It's a place where we have the reserves of our energy, our motivation. It's that place of yearning, that place where things push and pull and take us forward from there. I think sometimes it's hard to check in on the soul, so I'd suggest maybe we start by checking in on our bodies and our minds, with a lot of focus today on checking in on our bodies. I think these are more tangible windows into the soul. I think as I'm thinking about this check, as we check into our physical well-being, the word that comes to mind is I think folks are feeling a little muddled. I've been, I know, on many Zoom calls. I think many here have been on Zoom calls and FaceTime calls, and folks report the days are blurring together. There was one blog I read this week, and it was somebody named Mommy Owl, don't know who exactly that is, and her wish is that we could go back to days of the week underwear. They were a thing, they really were, and I know that comment may go past some, but I think it really captured that losing of time that we sometimes are feeling. Maybe you're used to going to your exercise class on Mondays and Wednesdays, and that's not when it's meeting, or you've got a grandchild you used to babysit every Tuesday. Maybe it's that the school lunch cafeteria every Friday serves pizza, and you don't have any of these orienting points. I also find my husband sometimes wandering the house at 10 a.m. saying, is it time for lunch yet? And I have another question. I'll ask a question for a friend is like, how many days in a row are you allowed to wear sweatpants before you actually put something in the laundry? We're not actually seeing any other people. When are clothes actually dirty? So our bodies and minds, in lots of subtle ways, both blatant and subtle, have been getting this message that things are changed. And then when we go beyond this personal disruption we've each had and we go into the news, somehow we overlay the two, and I think the term restless. If I think of restless as sort of an unsettledness, a time of anxiousness, a time of boredom, someplace that wraps all that together. Somehow this term restless captures some of our experience. Annie did a reflection before the sermon, and she says that she sees that this time is an opportunity to witness the two-way communication between the restless mind and the restless body. Annie wonders, what are we going to learn? I think that's a great question. But it's not the first time any of us have gone through restlessness. We didn't figure out how to be happy and have a great perfect purpose and have total ethical clarity right away when we finished up high school. We've been struggling with issues and entering that restless time fairly often. I ask you to think back to a time when you were just beginning to realize you needed to make some change in your life. Maybe it was about a job or a relationship or a living situation. Maybe you're somebody who's in that window right now. I think often our earliest inklings of something needing to change starts with signals from our body. Maybe you found it harder to concentrate or focus, harder to sleep, or you found yourself sleeping more, your eating patterns changed. All of these things, sometimes we become hypervigilant, sometimes we become forgetful. All of these things together are telling us something. And you may not at that time have known exactly why your body was giving you all these signals. And yet, it was a signal. It was a reason to start considering your options. There's an author who collects lots of snippets of different stories. Her name's Anne Scott, and she told this story about a doctor. And the doctor had been treating a woman who came in because she could no longer work because of chronic back pain and fatigue. One day he shared that the patient just decided the whole day she was going to do whatever her cat did. I think it's interesting, cats sometimes give us these signals. And she said she was going to stretch when the cat stretched. She was going to sleep when the cat slept. She was going to eat when the cat ate. And that's how her day went. And that is what it took her to find and remember to follow the rhythm of her own body. It was a profound listening, a profound time of listening, to go back and to be reminded of what it takes to pay attention to our bodies. Sometimes I think when we pay attention to our bodies, we then need to resist a little bit less. I think we need to actually be aware of whether it's an injury or something else, but we need to then not try to say it's all okay, and to hang a little longer in that paying attention place. Because our bodies right now are paying attention to what social distancing is like. The gyms are closed, our normal activities are closed. Even just the normal going to the store multiple times a week has us doing different things. But what's interesting is spiritual quests often start with attention to the body. Often they start in physical solitude. If you think of some of the traditions of the mystics, if you go back to the early monks, or if you think about some of the Unitarian heroes of Ralph Waldo Emerson and David Thoreau, or if you think of the yoga gurus, or all the different folks that say, first you need to make space, you need a place for your body that's not distracted, and then almost all of these journeys, they start with a focus on breathing. So for a spiritual quest, solitude is the start. And it seems to me if that's the case, folks, we are in great shape to start with a spiritual quest. And yet it's hard. Right now it's hard in the world to focus. The distractions are many, and our bodies are telling us, stop, give us a break. We are struggling. We've been thrown into new territory. There has never been, ever, an attempt to take 8 billion people and social distance them all at the same time, and yet that's what's happening. Across the globe, we see folks wearing masks on every continent. We see folks struggling to try to make sense of preventing something from coming and doing harm. And then we add on top of that the worries about health, the worries about economics, or we worry about our families. It's hard to dive right into a spiritual quest. So in this time of unease, both the collective and the personal unease, I still think it's worth checking in with our bodies. Not to judge them, but just to be aware. How are you doing? Are you sleeping, eating, finding time to move? How are you doing as you check in on how your body's doing with all the new technology? I know many of us are on Zoom and FaceTime calls a lot. And there is a difference. When you're on Zoom or FaceTime, it is a whole different set of senses that we're using. We're really only using our sight and sound, and that is different than personal interaction. We watch for the yellow box on Zoom. I know a lot of folks are now starting to experiment and be on Zoom to find out who jumped in quickly and has the floor, and all the different rules we're learning about how a Zoom call works. It's a decent substitute, but it's not natural. We're sitting in a different place. We're looking at our own faces. How is your body doing as you use technology, as you spend more time or less time at the screen? Maybe TV habits are changed. Maybe you're reading a Kindle instead of books. I just think as we check in with our body, it's good not to worry so much whether it's the right way it should be feeling or the wrong way, but just to be honest. Less judgment. But how is your breathing? How is your heart rate? Where do you find you're holding the tension? Where are your points of stress? What's helping you relax? I think all of these questions are important. I talked to a friend of mine who's an acupuncturist, and she shared that we all have a place in our body that we tend to hold stress and tension. We have different ways. Some of us get a headache, or some of us just get a sore back. Some of us have digestive issues. It's in the listening and the awareness and the patterns that we might learn something. Remember those signals we got ages ago when we were learning about restlessness and what it might be telling us? It's not different now. So check into your body closely this week. What are you learning about stress and relaxation and care? But I've also thought that restlessness is about more than that. I was reading about some of the different personalities. The statistic I saw was something like 20% of folks live in an almost, the way their body reacts is they live in restlessness. And it's not a restlessness of just anxiety. It's a restlessness for change. There are folks that want new adventures. They are less comfortable staying in one place. They're always yearning for something else. And it's not that that personality is better or worse than any other personality, but it's just what folks that have that sort of style, they actually sometimes call it a restless, they called it, so it has it here, a restless soul syndrome. Some of those folks, their stress comes from trying to fit in the box of what we all expect. We think there's one way to be, that everybody should settle down and get a job and stay in one place. I think one of the things we learn from restlessness is not to resist it. Not to be afraid, but just to be honest. What are we hearing? What is our body telling us? Because restlessness is here. It's in fits and starts, and it may be different for you this week than somebody else next week. But I think it's a good question to ask about change and discernment. And it's also a place to ask about adventure and curiosity. We might be on the cusp of something, each of us individually, and yes, it's hard, but what else might come out of it? What are we open to learning? Where might our energy point us? Where might it take us next? I talked to a friend who's a massage therapist, and she says, not only do we need to be aware of our bodies, but then we need to have our bodies help us through all these actions. She even said, when you're at that frustration and anger, it is okay to hit the pillow. It's okay to go out and walk and run in circles if that's what you're feeling. Let your body be a part of your response to this whole COVID mess. Because I want to take us then back. We need to hear our bodies, we need to honor our bodies. But the words I used in the meditation, I want to take us back to the end of that meditation from Teresa Novak. She says, let the warmth of this community surround you, hold you, heal you. And when you feel stronger just a bit, notice those who need you. They are here. They are everywhere. Weep with them, smile with them, work with them, laugh along the way. We are saved, and we save each other again and again and again. So my hope is that we approach the restlessness of our days right now with honesty, with a gentle and a generous spirit. And when we are ready, may we be open to restlessness as an opening to something, an opening to possibility. And may we grow and be strengthened as a community as we ask each other again and again, how is it with your soul? May it be so. Be well. We'll be together again next week. Our closing words today are by Eric Williams. The title of this reading is Blessed is the Path. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. May you go in peace. Go in peace. Go in love. Go knowing love surrounds you wherever you may go.
Please join me as I extinguish the flame. We extinguish this flame, that not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.